and welcome back to this video where I am doing the English Simmers Pride Shell Challenge for this one, which was really a fun thing to do. I think it's still up on the gallery if you wanted to do it yourself. I'm pretty sure it's hashtag ESPride24, and that's what I'll be uploading, or I have already uploaded this onto the gallery under, so you can find this build on the gallery if you search for that hashtag. Yeah, love the idea of doing a shell challenge for Pride Month. So yeah, I thought I'd have a go at it. And for this challenge, because it's like, as you can see on the screen, like 5 different buildings sort of made into the shape of a rainbow, but obviously with some gaps in between. So I was trying to think like what made sense to build for buildings in this kind of formation, and I think like quite a lot of people is like, makes sense to like separate them into separate units. So I've decided to go for like an elderly co-living village, and obviously because it's for Pride Month I thought could be nice if it was like queer elderly people. So yeah, once you like get a bit older and need potentially some assisted living, you could come and live in this village. And yeah, I've essentially chosen to do like 3 cottages. 2 of them have 2 bedrooms, and then this one that I'm working on right now just has 1 bedroom. And yeah, this current one ends up having like a bedroom and a full kitchen, and you could sort of just like live there independently and it'll be fine. A couple of the others I did more of like a bare bones kitchen or something, and that was because I decided to turn the 2 single-story buildings into sort of like community centres. I mean, I don't know, I haven't spent that much time in like care homes, but from what I understand, like for this elderly co-living area, the idea is that it's kind of like people who didn't need as much assistance could live in the cottages that are a bit more like decked out with everything you need, at least in sim terms, to like live independently. And then people who need a little bit more assistance, they can still like have their independent bedroom and bathroom, but then in the 2 community centres, one of them is more like kitchen and dining room, and the other one is more like a living room, or yeah, like community area, I guess. And they also, yeah, there's like a little study and like a shared computer as well, so that people kind of like share the facilities, which is nice. So yeah, those 2 single-story buildings will be shared spaces for everyone to use who lives here. And also in one of them I did like a little single bedroom, which you'll see, the one on the right of the screen at the moment. Yeah, I ended up including a bedroom with a single bed, and that is for like a carer in my head. So maybe someone who like lives on site can respond to like calls if people need help with something, like if elderly people want to need help with something, then yeah, you kind of have like an on-site carer. Maybe they're, you know, like trained in various medical things as well if people needed it. But yeah, that was kind of the thought process behind that. I thought it was quite fun. But yeah, in case anyone doesn't know what a co-living space is, I'm literally just reading this definition off Google, but yeah, Google says it's described as a form of accommodation providing like private rooms and bathrooms with shared kitchens and living facilities. So this kind of, like I said, like this one does actually have its own kitchen and living facilities, but yeah, the idea is that you could like live here for as long as you're an elder, and then like as your kind of like mobility or like ability to like do tasks yourself decreased, you could obviously still stay in the house that you're living in, but you could then just rely a bit more on like the communal facilities and for like other people cooking for you and things like that. So we definitely have things like this in the UK. Not really sure about how other countries work, but yeah, you can go and, you know, live in care homes. I think, to be fair, they're probably quite often private, quite expensive, but like I said, I'm not really familiar with care homes, so I don't know 100% how all that works, but we have facilities similar to this. Yeah, and then I also kind of like ended up decorating the like outdoor space quite a lot as well, partly just so it looked nice, but also like included some activities. Yeah, just really wanted to include loads of like things to do in case you do like download this lot and move Sims in. So I think I included like a little chicken run or chicken hutch so that people could have some chickens, and also like they did include like a hopscotch thing as well, which maybe only the kids can use, but I guess the idea with the community facilities is that like families could come and visit their elderly relatives who live there, and then they could all hang out in community centres or outside together. So yeah, I tried to include some stuff for other generations as well, beyond just elderly people, but obviously, yeah, it is kind of slightly targeted at elderly people in terms of the activities on offer. And yeah, the other thing I decided to do is I kind of went for a different style or theme for each of the houses. So as you can see with the one I'm doing at the moment, like I wanted it to look very cottagey, and yeah, it's got these like old beams. I think I used a lot of cottage living and maybe also a lot of get together as well, I think, for this one. And there's another one that ends up being a bit cottagey as well. And then the final one, or the third one, is more of like kind of Japanese style. And the two community centres are like a little bit more modern. So yeah, all of the buildings end up looking kind of different. It's also just 'cause it's like more fun to build that way, I find. Like, especially when you're building 5 different buildings, I didn't want to do them all in the same style just because I thought I would probably get a little bit bored if I did that. So yeah, decided to do all different styles, which, I don't know, you definitely lose something in the fact that it like doesn't look as cohesive. Like when you're taking screenshots, I'm like, oh, it does look nice when everything is kind of matching, but I don't know, this felt more interesting and like maybe more realistic, like, well, maybe not realistic, but in terms of like it, like this like facility wanting to like meet the needs of the people who live there. Like some people prefer slightly older style homes and some people prefer more modern style homes, and so I liked the idea that they had a bunch of different cottages on site that people could choose from, just like depending on their own preferences. I thought that was quite a cute idea. There is, and that kind of does happen sometimes in the UK, we have like self-build schemes where sometimes you might have like a plot of land that gets split into like 10 units and people can apply for planning permission individually for each of those 10 units, and so you end up with like a sort of street or a driveway with 10 houses, and they all look really different because they've all been designed by a different person. And again, maybe that's like more normal in other countries, that all the houses on a street look different, but like in the UK, like I would say most development is not like that. Like we have loads of terraced houses where obviously all the houses are matching, or even like semi-detached or detached houses, like just often in a village, like a big estate will be built at the same time and all the houses are really similar in style. So you do end up like, when you're in like a different area of town or city or village, like you'll come across like lots of houses that are very similar aesthetically. Obviously not as a rule, there are definitely places where like houses vary a lot more as well in the UK, but yeah, that's like my experience. Houses can be a bit more matching over here. So yeah, that was kind of like why I wanted to make all these ones different, and yeah, it was just more fun to use the different styles. I have a fair few packs downloaded right now, by now, so it's just kind of fun to be able to use all of them rather than like limit yourself a bit. I guess it does mean that if you were to download this property yourself, that you would also need quite a few packs. But I mean, the other thing about that is that it's like there's definitely like some packs where I've used a lot of stuff, like I think Cottage Living and maybe like Mount Comoraby, no, what's that pack called? Snowy Escape. Mount Comoraby is the world in it, isn't it? But yeah, there's definitely like a few packs which I used quite a lot. Maybe I also just like love eco living and feel like I use that all the time. So yeah, it might be a bit of a struggle if you're trying to download it, but yeah, hopefully there won't be like too many things missing. It might just mean like, that kitchen is missing and then you'd have to redo that, but it wouldn't be the whole thing at all. Like you could probably still download it and just like fill in the gaps yourself. So yeah, that'd be fairly easy. And yeah, I decided to build it in, what is this world called? Evergreen Harbour, I think, right? Anyway, the world that came with Eco Living, and there was originally a community centre on this lot. Is it called a community centre? I can't remember. It's that lot that you can like change into 3 different things or 4 different things, and you like the townspeople can vote on what they want the lot to be. I can't remember what the lot type is called now, but that doesn't really matter. But yeah, I thought I'd put it in this world, partly because this is one of the worlds where, again, like depending on votes, like the style of the houses can kind of change according to what you like get people to vote for on the community board. So I thought the fact that all of these houses did take slightly different styles would probably like fit in better here, because if you were to play it in this neighborhood, then like some of the houses are a bit older and some of them are a bit newer, and so like depending on how the neighborhood changes, hopefully it would like continue to fit in and yeah, not look too out of place. And just in general, like I find this world, I mean, I like this aspect of it, that it's kind of houses aren't super uniform. Like it's a mix, because obviously sometimes it's so nice to have a world maybe a bit like the cottage living world. Can't remember what it's called right now, but yeah, the cottage living world, like there's obviously like only a few styles where it really feels like it makes sense to build in for that world. Like you really want something like cottagey or like old Englishy type of buildings, and that is so fun when that's what you want to build and you can like create a neighborhood that looks so aesthetically similar, and is obviously just like really satisfying. But sometimes you want to, like, I don't know, create a neighborhood that's like a bit more hodgepodge and just like various different styles put together, a bit like I wanted to do here. And I feel like Evergreen Harbour is a good one for that, because all the different areas of the town have slightly different styles, and like I said, even within those neighborhoods the styles can change, so I just think it like adapts itself pretty well. I guess like again the whole idea of the pack being that like, oh, you can like upgrade stuff yourself, and like nothing is very like chic or perfect looking. Like even the eco modern stuff is, you know, like you've got all these like machines all over the roof that are like collecting rainwater and stuff like that. So it's like very unminimalist, maybe that's how I could describe it, which fit the idea for what I wanted to do here. But yeah, you can see I've moved on to like building this second cottage. So this one has 2 bedrooms, so this one, I guess there's a couple of things you could do with it. Like the idea for me was that potentially this is like an elderly couple live here, and then they also have like a live-in carer who like lives in the house with them. But I mean, it could be someone they're related to, like it could just be their child who lives with them and cares for them full time, or it could be someone they employ and just like also lives in the house and helps them. It's not a particularly good storyline because this house is 2 levels, so clearly they couldn't have like a sort of walking issue or something, because they would not be able to get around the house. So I don't know, maybe they just like live in help, maybe they just hate doing their cooking and their laundry and they want someone else to do it for them. Who knows, you can come up with your own storyline for this one. Or I mean, it could just be like 2 elderly people living in the same house as like flatmates also, like maybe they're just friends. Yeah, so it was built with like a few different things in mind. You can play out whatever storyline you like. And yeah, I really liked how this one turned out. This was one of the more modern ones. I love the Snowy Escape pack and all the Japanese style stuff that came with it. Just so aesthetically pleasing for me, at least. And yeah, this one also had like a very full kitchen, living room, dining room, so yeah, you could also live here pretty independently, to be honest, without like needing the community centres, and then maybe just use the community centres when you want to like have gatherings or parties or something like that, or yeah, be sociable, have your Sims be sociable. But yeah, I very much liked how this one turned out. And then the third one, which I haven't moved onto yet, but I will just talk about a little bit, was again slightly more like cottagey in style. I used like kind of older looking furniture, as though like I guess the people who moved in have had to furnish it themselves, so whereas this one is very modern, the next one is kind of older and just like a bit shabby. Like they have this kind of like very old-fashioned wallpaper. It just like makes me think of like when like I would go to my grandma's house and everything just felt so dated. Like all the sofas are faded, the bed is faded, the walls are faded, the floor is like kind of almost like rickety, and I don't know, just sort of like everything needs updating almost. But it looked so nice and cute from the outside, so yeah, I just thought it was a fun idea to make one a bit more like that. And yeah, that was like the third style I went for, and I tried to give them all like quite a decent amount of landscaping as well. Just feel like it really kind of like lifts the buildings off the grass, although I didn't put any of these on a foundation, and that was slightly on purpose, because especially this one I'm decorating right now, the third one that we've just moved on to, like there's a bedroom and sort of like almost like apartment, I guess, upstairs, and then a separate one downstairs, so that's why I've like put the stairs over the other side of the building. There's 2 different entrances, so they're totally separate. So they're just like each one of them is basically like a studio apartment almost. And yeah, the downstairs one has a bed and everything that not everything that you need, but some stuff that you need. And yeah, I wanted to keep it flat because I know obviously in The Sims we don't have like wheelchairs or like walking, like assisting, like I don't even know what you call it, like technology or like equipment that helps Sims like who would be less able to walk. But because this was like an elderly care facility, I thought it seemed pretty realistic that potentially some people who live here would have problems walking. And there's also kind of why I put the bedrooms on the downstairs and the other one, like so that someone could still live there who wasn't able to walk so well, and then just like access the kitchen and the living room in the community centre like with some help from a carer. And yeah, so that was the idea with this one as well, as I definitely wanted there to be some kind of options for both Sims who can walk and Sims who like can't walk so easily or need some help. So yeah, that was the idea with this one, and just like decorating up the outside of it. But yeah, I really hope you enjoy the rest of the video. I'll probably leave the voiceover for this one here because I've talked you through all the different buildings a little bit. Yeah, really hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one.